Hello there, Aries. Thank you so much for stopping by. We're going to be doing something a little bit different today than what we normally do. I've decided that it's time to change things up. Those of you who have been watching me since 2013 or, for a while at least, I have Uranus in my sixth house. That means I get restless to change things up every so often. So that's what we're doing right now. Instead of doing weeklies, I'm going to be doing videos that come out just when I get the chance to make them. And we're going to go deeper than the weeklies. Quite frankly, the weeklies are starting to bore me a little bit. So we're going to do something a little bit deeper and just have more fun with it, actually. Not all the cards are going to be on the camera as I put them down, but I will be holding them up below the camera so that you get a chance to see them all. How many do we have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now this is our key card right here for those of you who understand the spread. And let's begin, shall we, Aries? This energy is good for now up to about 30 days. We're basically looking at a life cycle that you're going through right now. So it may have already started a while back. I don't know, but this is one that Spirit wants to talk about. So let's look at it. So the first thing that we have tells me a little bit about your environment, and your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. And so with this card coming up, this tells me that you're really thinking, Aries, about your environment, and there are some improvements that you want to make in your environment, whether that's home, whether it's work. You want to be kind of open about where we could be looking at here. But you're looking at solutions that might be outside the box, maybe things that other people wouldn't think about that would bring the improvements that you actually want for your environment. Okay, so that's the first card that we have coming up. Boop-ba-da-doo-doo. Boop-ba-da-doo. Second card we have coming up talks to me about subconscious leanings. I really like it with this Two of Cups. There are Two of Vessels in this deck. Talks about the idea of your subconscious is really looking for how can I incorporate more things that I'm drawn to, more things that I'm called to, more things that I'm attracted to. How can I incorporate more of that in my everyday life and my everyday practice? For some of you, this can actually be a person, but I'm really feeling like for a lot of you, this is not so much a person as it's, more of situations that you're drawn to or experiences that you're drawn to that your subconscious is really working on. How can I put more of that into my experience on this planet right now? Now, next card we're going to look at talks to me about two different things. It's going to talk to me on the top of the card about your learning style, and the bottom of the card will talk to me about your communication style. This is one of those placements in this spread for me that doesn't, the card almost doesn't matter at all because I'm just reading like a section for each part of this psychically. So when I look at learning style, with all of these clouds here, there are some things that you're trying to learn within this life cycle that there's a lot of confusion, a lot of fog around. You may not really be able to find access to the information that you want to find access to with all of this cloudiness and haze and maybe even smoke in the background. I'm not even sure what all that is. But it does look like if you are able to dig deep enough, some details come out, but you have far from the full picture. And then with the bottom of this card, it looks like your communication style is very direct, very well grounded. You're very much aware of the practicalities around you, and your communication style has to do with those practicalities and good plans and goal setting based on those practicalities in your life right now. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about work. Now, this is a card I really like to see coming up for work, Aries. Ten of Stones talks about the idea of stability, security. So this is your work right now is something that you're able to rely on. It's not something that you're really feeling like you have to push harder or expand more or whatever. And in fact, you may have just recently met some kind of work goal that has made it more stable and more secure for you. So very nice card to come up for work. I like that. And for those of you who are not working for money, this would be whatever you do to feel productive, either in your family or your community. overall. Now, next card that we're looking at is going to talk to me about that part of your personality, which is growing or expanding right now. So what we have showing up here is the Guardian in another deck. This would be Capricorn's card. It's the card that talks about, our fears and those fears that really they run us sometimes. Okay. So when we have the Guardian showing up as where you're growing and expanding, this just means that there's something in your world that is making you really face some deep-seated fears of yours and really try to look at those. With this card, the way it is, implies that you're being given the opportunity to do some self work and to deactivate some triggers. It may be a little bit overwhelming when it first shows up, but you've got that opportunity. The question is going to be, do you do the self work? Do you make whatever this is that is your deep seated fear? Do you make this obsolete? Because that's what your self work does. That is going to be up to you. That's free choice, and that's going to be up to you guys. Some of you are going to choose to do that. Some of you maybe not. I hope you do. Life is so much easier when we deactivate our triggers and get rid of our fears. Otherwise, we're just a hot mess running around creating hot messes everywhere. Excuse me, had to wet my whistle. All right, so next thing I'm looking at is going to be these two cards, and I'm looking at them together because they belong together like a hand and a glove. All right, they're two cards about the same situation. So this card is going to talk to me about something that you've stood up for, something that you believe in, and somebody has put you in a position where you've actually had to verbally stand up for it. It is actually influenced by Mars, so for some of you, maybe more than verbally. I hope not. Hope it hasn't come to fists over something like this, but it's kind of a possibility. So you've stood up for something because somebody probably has either asked you about it, or they've confronted you about it, or they've cried and whined like a little baby till you felt like you had to say something so that they would go back to their corner and mind their own business and leave you alone. Okay? Either way, they've triggered you to say something to stand up for this card, what's indicated on this card. Now, this card, the reason we're looking at these together, this card talks about that other person, and it talks about how they feel once you guys have had this conversation, or this, should I say, interaction. Gosh, I feel like for a lot of you Aries, this may be a little bit more heated than a conversation. But let's look at this. We've got our Three of Vessels coming up here as the thing that you're standing up for or explaining. Okay? Three of Vessels in reverse talks about you've got somebody getting on your nerves. Somebody's jumping up and down on your last nerve. Can be one person, can be more than one person, but you do have somebody that is just really jumping up and down on that last nerve, really frustrating you, really annoying you. And this is what you're talking about. You're talking about how that's happening and how that's affecting you. All right? Now, how the other person feels after you have talked about this is very interesting, because the other person feels like, I've been trying to stay secluded. I've been trying to stay out of this situation. And it looks to me like hearing your take on this situation helps them to feel more like they don't have to walk on eggshells. They don't have to keep to themselves. They maybe can share their feelings on this situation as well. I kind of get the sense maybe they were worried about hurting your feelings if this was not something that was bothering you also, because I think it has been bothering them. Okay? So all of this stuff is present tense stuff that you're probably recognizing actually as I go through this reading, or if you're not yet, you will be soon. Next, we're coming into things that I kind of call maybe land. Maybe it's happened, maybe it hasn't. So we're going to take a peek at that. Lesson or experience that we have showing up here is actually a very interesting one, with the King of Bows coming up at this angle. This is in reverse for me when he shows up like this. And the King of Bows coming up in reverse talks to me about that there is somebody, Aries, who has sort of stepped into your territory and is making decisions on your behalf that you're perfectly qualified to make. They could be trying to tell you basically how to run your life. And so I think that this has been going on for a while. Whatever a while is for you, that's going to be different for all of you. But when this card comes up in reverse, this person who's been overstepping their boundaries with you Now you're standing up to them. This is going to be the last time that they do this, coming up here real soon if it hasn't already happened recently. And you're going to be standing up to this person. You're going to be saying, you know what, I can handle this. You're going to be setting new boundaries with this person. And a lot of times when this card comes up, you may, not always, but you may have emotional support. You may have somebody else who assists you in standing up for you, standing up for yourself against this person who's trying to sort of run the show where, it's not really theirs to run. So at the same time that we have that going on, I'm just going to set this off to the side while I look at these other cards. At the same time that we have that going on, we also have somebody here in the background, and this very well may be your emotional support person. This is somebody who is very compassionate. They're empathic. They're very much aware of other people's feelings. They're aware of their own feelings too. Some people could accuse them of being oversensitive. In fact, Aries, you could have accused him of that, him or her. But they feel things. Somebody like this feels things, and is more aware of the feelings that they have for things than a lot of other people are. And so this person is somebody they would give the shirt off their back if they thought that it could help somebody else. And I feel like this is the person that's really coming in for moral support here for you, Aries, where earlier I said maybe you'll have moral support, maybe you won't. This kind of confirms for me you will have somebody that is kind of got your back whenever you're standing up to this bossy bootay. Okay? Now, what do we have over here, which is also happening at the same time that we're dealing with this bossy person here? We have a 5 of Stones in reverse. Now, in this card, this is endurance. Endurance is that interesting thing that we do. We wait, expecting things to get better after we've waited a certain amount of time, or expecting things to get better after a certain trigger event happens. But we're waiting in a less than ideal situation, waiting for our ideal situation. When the endurance card comes up in reverse like this, for me, you know what this says? This says I'm done waiting. Dun, 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 dun. So maybe, very easily could have been, Aries, that you were waiting for Mr. or Ms. Bossy Butt here. Maybe I should put this in this camera. Where is that camera? Mr. or Ms. Bossy Butt here. You were waiting for them to quit being so bossy. You didn't want to have to confront them or say anything to them. You're done waiting. It looks to me like they're putting the last straw in the camel's back. You're done with trying to be gracious and nice. Now you're just saying, hey, that's enough. And you've even got some backup. Now, where do we see you at the end of this life cycle? Let's take a look at this last card. End of this life cycle, we've got you shown up as the Queen of Bows. Now that's your suit anyway, Aries. Bows is the fire suit in the deck. So don't get hung up on gender though with the tarot cards. That's just really a bad idea to do that. The Queen of Bows is talking about somebody who does things behind the scenes, somebody who makes preparations, somebody who does things where people aren't necessarily patting them on the back and giving them a lot of kudos. Okay, this could be somebody who works in the kitchen. They never come out and actually see the customers and hear whether the customers like their food or not. The servers hear that, but they don't. That's an example of somebody that works behind the scenes and they don't get a lot of kudos for what they're actually doing, just generally, just the system is set up that way. So this could be somebody like, a party planner or event planner. This could be somebody like, in the military. They don't often get kudos for the things that they do. So I don't know exactly what you're doing behind the scenes, but you're doing something here once we get to the end of this life cycle that is more or less behind the scenes. And usually it's a preparation of something whenever we're doing something behind the scenes. So you could be preparing to do something like launch a business or launch a website or, whatever. There's some kind of preparation here that you're doing. Like I said, people aren't noticing this. This is not anything that you have revealed to the public just yet, Aries. It would, will you be revealing this to the public? I think eventually. But what I'm hearing is you have a lot of things to put into place before you're ready to reveal it to the public. So just doing some behind the scenes work is where we see you ending this life cycle. And when you end this life cycle, it doesn't talk about you're kicking the bucket or anything. It just means that you're preparing to jump into the next life cycle. And the next life cycle gets you ready to learn something or experience something. So, where this is the lesson or experience here, telling this bossy person that you don't need them to boss you around anymore, basically, in a much nicer way than I just said it, then this gets you leading into the next life cycle where you learn or experience something else. So, that's what I have. I hope you guys find this helpful, at least more helpful than the weekly readings. I just feel like those were getting too dry. I wanted to dig in. So anyway, let me know what you think of this new format, guys. I'm going to go ahead and put this together and release it right now. And I hope you guys have a fantastic, fantastic week. Peace.